In this video, I'm going to take a look at the several of the financial arguments. And first, before I go to the spreadsheet, I want to talk about some of the common arguments that you find in these financial functions. And the first one is rate, and this refers to the interest rate per period. It's not the annual percentage rate. So for example, if you borrow money to purchase a car, you might be quoted a 6% APR. Well, when you calculate the actual payment for the car, you need to divide that 6% by 12, which is the number of payments that you make per year. NPER is the number of payment periods, the total number of payment periods. For example, if you borrowed a certain amount of money for 2 years and you paid it back on a monthly basis, the NPER would be 24, 2 times 12. Present value, or PV, is the present value of the investment or the loan. It's what you're investing or borrowing. Future value is what you want the loan or investment to be when you're done. So for example, on a loan, you would want your future value to be 0. And on an investment, you would want your future value to be something greater than what you're investing now. Type is an optional argument, and it has to do with whether or not the payment is made at the end of the period, in which case the type would be 0, or at the beginning of the period, in which case the type would be 1. And this has an impact on how much interest you pay. So let's go to the spreadsheet. And I've set up this spreadsheet with all of the information, and I've just left blank the places where the functions will go for the sake of time. So in this first row in I-5, I want to calculate the monthly payment. And what I'm doing is calculating a monthly payment to get to from $1,000 to $3,000 in a period of 18 months. So I'm going to go ahead and click on I-5 and start typing out my function, equal payment. And you can see the first argument is rate, so I'm going to click on the rate per month. If I don't, my answer is going to be totally out there and it won't have any value to me at all. The next argument is NPER, which is the number of payment periods. And then the next argument is present value, which is the amount that I'm going to be investing. And for this one, I do want a future value because it's an investment. My goal is to save up $300,000, so I'm going to go ahead and click on C5 as well. Normally when you do the payment function, you don't insert a value for the future value because it's just assumed to be 0. And this is particularly true when you're calculating a payment for a loan. So there's how much the company would have to put away on a monthly basis to meet the $300,000 goal in 18 months. So the next one, we're going to calculate future value. So I'm just going to start typing the function equal FV. And you can see that it's set up pretty much the same way as the payment function. Again, I'm going to start out with the rate and the number of periods and how much I can afford to put away each month. and then the present value of the investment, which would be $100,000. So this tells me that if I save $7,500 a month, beginning with an initial investment of $1,000 for 18 months, I'm going to end up with $248,000. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is use the NPER function. And again, I'm just going to click on the cell and start typing my function name. And again, very similar arguments. I'm going to start out with rate, and then the payment, and then my present value, and last I'm going to enter a future value because again I have a goal here other than 0. So at that rate it's going to take about 2 years to save up $300,000. Okay, so the next thing we're going to do is calculate a present value. So I'm going to start out with the present value function. And again, the first argument is rate, and then NPER, and then payment, and finally future value. And I can go ahead and enter. And in order to meet my investment goal, saving at a rate of $7,500 per month, I need to start out with nearly $150,000. Finally, we're going to calculate an interest rate, and you would do this perhaps to get an idea of what kind of an investment, return on your investment that you would need to meet a certain goal, and it would also tell you if that particular return was even feasible. So I'm going to use the rate function for this. And I'm going to start out with the number of periods, then the payment, then the present value, and finally the future value. So if we look over here at the annual rate, that would mean we'd have to find an investment that had a return of 22.95%. And I can't think of an investment that's legal at this point that would give that kind of a return. So that's probably not a feasible option for this particular company. So those are the 5 financial functions that you're going to be using in the first part of the tutorial.